So let's go back in time to when I'm 9 years old. It's 1974. Nixon has resigned, and my mother has impeached my father, thanks to Gloria Steinem and Ms. Magazine. She's whacked. She's 33, she's got 4 kids, and she's working long hours. The gas lines are long, money's tight, but she's resourceful, and she's selling pot out of the house. I still remember the first time I saw her take a sheet out and put it on the living room floor like we were having a picnic. And then she took out 3 paper bags full of what looked like lawn waste and threw it out and started bagging it up in little baggies, sandwich bags, and rolling them back up and putting them back into the grocery bags. What's that? It's pot. Can I help? Keep your brothers out of the house. The doors are locked, and my brothers are on the front porch, and they're actually nurturing their pot plants that are in coffee cans, because it's Miami, 1974. And our house smells like shake and bake chicken, marijuana, and Afro sheen. Because my mother's not only the first divorced woman in the suburbs, but she's also has live-in boyfriends, and we're on boyfriend number 3, John Dukes. Not one of my favorites, somebody I'd like to forget. I didn't know whether she was more whacked or he was whacked, because he was insane. I didn't know whether he was going to be it was going to be a good day or a bad day. They would have these very tumultuous fights. Things would go flying, and I'd hear her yell, "Get to your room," and I'd go into my room and hide. The police were called very often. One occasion, she locked him out of the house, and we started hearing smashed glass because he was smashing out the front windows. We were used to hurricanes, so we were staying up in the hallway, and my mother said, "I want you to run to the car when I tell you you're going to run out the back door and we're going to get in the car," which we did. We ran off, and he chased us, and we parked in a parking lot where we spent the night. My mother, at a payphone, making a lot of phone calls, not knowing what she was saying, she came back to the car and said, "It's okay, we can go home now." And my feeling was, wow, this is it. She's not going to take him back, because in the previous times they'd have these fights. And he'd be gone, and then 2 weeks later he'd show up. And when she would come home from work, she would go into the bedroom with him, and we wouldn't hear her for hours, and I'd go rapping on the door, and I'd hear, "I'll make dinner in a minute." That's when I learned how to read the box of the Hamburger Helper and make my own dinners. So this time I was pretty convinced he'd be gone forever. It wasn't the case. 2 weeks later, he showed up again. What, is she crazy, taking him back? This time, they had another fight, and the police came, and the 2 white police officers at the front door looked at her, looked at the scene, and basically said, "You know, you made your bed, you can lie in it." And he said, "Look, if she wants me to be gone, all I need is a ride, just a ride with my shit to my sister's house. If you can just let her, she can just give me a ride, we'll be all set. I'll be out of here." My mother was hysterical, asking the police to take him, that he didn't belong. Well, they drove off, and the night went on, and in the morning, I woke up at dawn to hear the sound of a police radio. And I looked out my bedroom window, and there was my mother, naked, wrapped in a blanket with 2 other police officers. We moved. Shortly thereafter, we never saw John Dukes again. Years later, as an adult, I wondered why she was so crazy and kept taking him back. She told me that she was one of the first people to get a restraining order in the state of Florida, that he wasn't a boyfriend, that she had gone on 1 date with him and he had come home with her and said he was never leaving. That the reason he would always have one of us with him is because he used it as leverage. So whenever she went out, one of us had to stay with John. It was then that I realized my mother wasn't whacked. It was John Dukes.
Oh.